Okay, welcome everyone. We'll start our lesson two. Today lesson will go through LO2. As you know me, my name is Anjum Satar. Please, if you have any question, you can drop me email and I'll try my best to get back to you as soon as possible. Today lesson LO2, which will be key focus, understand the strategic capacity planning, which will so during our lesson one, we discuss about information systems. We had a discussion about uh, operations, different functional area. We discuss about HR, production, marketing. These are operational areas. And today lesson will be capacity planning for product and services. So that will be the key in our lesson today. And the key, what is the capacity planning, is the process of determining the production capacity needed by organization to meet, the changing demand for its product. In the context of the capacity planning, design capacity in the maximum amount of the work that an organization is capable of completing in a given period. That's which we can look around it. Why capacity planning important? Capacity planning is important for a number of reasons. The first being that it's limit, the rate of output of your business, and another reason many, imply the capacity planning. So capacity is the maximum utilization. So like in a hotel, when you have 100 rooms, if you're 80 rooms booked, so it means 80% of capacity you have used. So in a same way, we can look around operating cost, supply and demand for, and go on investment decision according to the capacity which we can look around. Okay, so what is the ultimately goal of the project manager? Delivering their project, successfully. Project mean discipline, project mean task, project, anything, any activities can be known as a project according to the project PMO, project management organization, project PMI, project management institute, which is a chartered institute in the UK, which we can look around those, Okay, the most of individual think, the capacity planning in terms of the supply and demand in the product-based industry is equally applies to the service industry. Project levels and capacity planning is also. Please, it's quite good, guys, if you have MS Office. Within that, MS Office CDs, if you can install the MS project, that's quite good. We can look around the capacity, we can create, and the project management software MS project is quite useful to calculate the capacity, and we can plan accordingly. We can create, program evaluation, review techniques, chart and things as well, and we can look around. Okay, so that's, you need to know availability and the current overload, which we can look around. Okay, so what is the difference between capacity planning and resource planning? Capacity planning required you to make sure you have a sufficient resources to deliver the project. As such, is contain the element of reduction. Resource planning is more about coordination the workforce in a real time, and you are assigning people to project while monitoring the resource utilization. That's which we need to. Okay, 2.1, which is critically assess the importance of capacity planning. Capacity planning is how your company has what takes to do. So need to be capacity planning can be linked to the demand as well. What is the we are forecasting for demand at the sale, the goods which we want to look around, and you can plan. So sale forecast is the one, and then you do the capacity planning according. What you have the good, capacity planning, you take into the new project and complete another project efficiency. So consider get how long it takes employee to perform the task. If you're offering a service, think about how many projects such as employees can take on at one time to complete the service in a reasonable amount of time. If more than one employee is involved in performing different services for same client, consider the type of the task of each employee is doing and how long typically takes to do each task. Once you have an idea of amount of time and typically needed for each task, you can, look around and being to assess whether you can take on more work or whether it is worth it to expend to be able to serve, more clients to produce more items. Thus we can look around. Consider implied skill. What sort of the skill is required to be in that plus capacity planning? Imply those skills like, it can be forecasting skill, it can be costing skill, it can be looking, matching, and creating graphs in production environment. Make sure your employees who properly train, who have a skills, what to produce and selling in details, selling. For example, employees who's fast and the stock on the shelf may not be fast in the cash register I was first. That's, which we can use. Okay, calculate the accurate workload. Please, that is quite crucial for the capacity planning. Determine what kind of, the workload. So always it's good to be you draw SOPs, standard operating procedures, and look around the benchmark. Yes, what is required for in the industries and things that will help you to be designed properly. Yeah? So together crank out, the matters of hours, days in some time. You repeat, every week and every month, you don't want to be teams member to be burned out. Just take a look of your long-term project, whether involve a new client or new product and expansion of a sorry about expansion of the current service. Then take a realistic look at your firm's ability to carry out these projects, and consider how much the work you have and what you need to accomplish the work, and then estimate what resources you have to be devoted to task, and compare the amount of the work you currently have with the resources, and there are capacity planning, the software system to help to calculate, which we can look around. Okay, strategic strategies to use. What happen if you have more project or product to make than resource, and what happen if you have more staff than the project or the making, vice versa. These are called the gaps, and this is why is need to be a capacity planning, and you need to be have a specific plan to deal with each type of the gap whenever occur. List the skill set of your staff, so you can move people around to fit the project needs. And if you are in the business making the project, and decide whether you need to update equipment or redirect the staff to other project, cross train your staff to fill for the project when needed. That's we need to be look around. Any question from anyone? Charts, for the future, when you're implementing the capacity planning operation management, you are trying to predict the future, and the management charts, illustrate what option accurate, filling these charts, and then are when you plug, into different option, the chart should be able to indicate, what to exact and what should have ideas, and that's, which we need to be look around. The need capacity planning, and failing to do the capacity planning can leads to the overuse of equipment, our work staff, or the staff who put extra hours to complete the project will need the breaks before turning to the next project, and one which hopefully will not drive them to execution. So just imagine what can happen if you don't use the capacity planning. You may need to buy equipment. Your staff may suffer from how low morale, or we can look around. Low morale may lead them to clock up project, and we can look around. The staff members maybe decide, to quit, and the quality of the project may suffer, and the redoing the project in manufacturing new product to meet the client's expectation, and failure not to meet could be damage the relationship, and that's key. Okay, that was the our LO1. Next LO1 2.1, and now we're looking 2.2, analyze the ways defining and meeting the capacity. So volume of the production organization is capable of. usually defined according to the given time in period, and the notion of the capacity determined by many factors, the size of the labors and the product. The capacity defined three category: design capacity, effective capacity, and actual capacity. The operational utilization of the resource and the efficiency the process can be calculated. Okay, design capacity, this is the theoretical numbers and not one that is applied to daily production of an operation. And design capacity is output, that an operation can produce continuous and maximum rate without stopping and shift, change our maintenance or one other delay. So what is the process of capable of producing under the perfect condition? Then we look around the non-perfect condition with some variations. So in some cases might be impacted in maximum. Effective capacity, the consider how the operation will run on the long term basis, and how will be staffed and how will be monitored, maintained, and all the planned stoppage under and the normal time frame into consideration. And this can be known as available capacity. And the stoppages may include in the shift changeover and look the lunch breaks and setup times and all. Okay, actual capacity is the sum, the effective capacity, but contain the unplanned losses as well as the planned one, and could be include the poor work rate of absentees or the new staff training. Example, actual output plus, the unplanned losses is same as the effective capacity. Therefore, the operation which is working its asset efficiently to minimize the losses. Measuring the capacity, when you measuring the capacity of the unit, measure can be either input and output. The key take the most, logical reflect, ability of the operation to create the product and how these, inputs can be. So that's what scale fit in the operation, but the unit output will be. Inputs, we can look around, please. Inputs mean any resource which you use to make that good before the process start. So the measures of the capacity and the resource selected define the input into processes. Provision of the capacity is fixed. It can be, you can enhance it. Yes, room available in the hotel, seats and the conference and the venue. Input measures are the most of the appropriate, in the small processes where the capacity is relatively fixed and highly customized in the variable outputs such as complicated. So guys, we can look around, the output can be measures. We can look around the finished units, how many we can. Mobile phone produce a day in a car, or the car per week, or the measure the best, used in the variety and the product mix, like, and the capacity planning can be measured from the looking operation. So we can look around the processes like music festival, hotel. Input can be square meters or rooms, or yes, so these different activities and output which we can measure it. Yes. So that's, which we can look around. For example, to measure output capacity, which can be the car per shift, tons per hours per days, like, yes, university professor may not be measured in this manner. In these cases, the capacity could be shown form of working hours. So simple formula, which we can look around: time available, time of task, or time taken to the task. And we can look around how many, yes. For example, we can look around the service provider work on 8 hours day and takes 15 minutes break and a half an hour lunch break. The time available work is the 7 hour per day, and in this particular workers was the fitness instructor and spent 70 minutes each. Customer 10 minutes consultation and book 1 hour for the gym session. How many clients could instruct process during the 5 days? Yes, so that can be used the time and the daily time used, and we can use the how many watch capacity used in that way. So there is a simplified measure of the fitness of the instructor, yes, which we can look around like 10 minutes per unit, 20 minutes per unit, or 30 minutes, 10 minutes per unit, depends, what. So 6 process per hour, 3 process per hour, and so on. So we can look around the processes and we can plan. This is one of example which can be used to do the capacity planning. So guys, quite good to look around. Then we have a 2.3 where we look around, evaluate the factor that consider when deciding when to operate the in-house. So please key factor quality, cost, and speed, and the time really we need to look around the factors. Several factors need to be taken account deciding whether there's something in-house or whether outsource. So in-house mean within the company you produce something and which we can incorporate, and the functional objective we can look around quality. Yes, do it in house easier to ensure the quality. Outsource supplier may be yes specialist with the greater experience and the better equipment. Yes, so we can look around the cost in-house department, how much, and the maintain the reason of outsource clearly identify. Maybe you don't have a capacity to produce the certain good you outsource. Yes, speed easier to schedule the work and production to fit, with business speed response can be set, the requirement of outsourcing. Okay, flexibility can be yes closest to the real needs of the business ability to respond maybe, and supplier can be linked likely to be greater capacity and the flexibility that is in-house than the in-house, or maybe because outsource can be give you. Okay, so what factors are considered when deciding the outsource? When you're outsourcing, you have to be consider various factors, look the reputation, look the cost, look, quality and all everything, not just only the cost. So self-perform decided by the project team, like we can study project management selection, prioritize, identify the budget and schedule, and the most important consideration of the outsource. Yes, other factor maybe consider risk, quality, flexibility, self-performing, outsourcing work. What will be in term of the reputation of the company, how this impact. Outsourced decision design company may be contracted, built, the large training curriculum, maybe downtown New York for suppose. This is the example, please. We can look around an existing company that's, which expert can be provide these project. Yes, need faster, lower cost. Some of outsourcing decision sometimes called make or buy decision, like you want to make yourself or you will buy or you outsource. Yes, project manager can decide, outsource this proportion. The project companies calculate, technical as well as the corporate social responsibility, social accounting, like, what will cost of the society to everything outsource. Because we have a CSR responsibility as well, we can keep that in self-performing. This group also is the benefit, and the project teams would be develop expertise. Additionally, expertise would could be added, their parent company, and we can look around outsourcing and insourcing. Okay, outsources versus self-performing. The project manager decide, outsource proportion of the work is required in a new month, a new method, and the material, and the project designer evaluate the work design. We can look around additional cost, and that can be considered the basic instructions, which we can look around design activities are the core expertise of the parent companies, and the project team had to assess to qualify, the source perform the work. So key takeaway from this, the factor that influence the procurement are primary the cost, schedule, but also include the risk, quality, and flexibility. Determine whether to outsource or to do the work within the organization. Consider which option is less costly and which option can be. Okay, then we have a describe the steps, which in more used to resolve the constraint. Constraint mean limitation. Like, we have a constraint in the labor hour, constraint in the material available, constraint can be yes, the unit, which are the capacity we have. Constraint is something impose the limit on the restriction. Okay, constraint is the project or the thing, how this manage the project. We can remember six, constraint like, CR, OB, cost, risk, and benefit, quality, and scope, and the time, which we can look around. Three primary constraint can be project managers would be familiar with time, scope, and the cost. That can be each constraint we connected to two or more example, and we can look around in a scope of the project. So please, when you do, we call economics order quantity, we can look around the constraint in term of, yes, contribution, that's also, and we can rank them accordingly. Any product give us high contribution, we can use triple constraint. Project management is the time constraint. The time is referred to the project schedule for the completion, including the deadline as well as the dates, that can we look. Cost constraint, it can be cost, can be because we maybe don't have a money enough, the cost not being managed effectively. Okay, capacity constraint, maybe we don't have too much capacity which we can look around. Yes, that's we need to be focused as well, please. Okay, any question please from anyone? Capacity always constraint can be lowest producing part of the process. Yes, layman in term of the operation which we can look around. Okay, the resources mix can be potentially constrained to be operation to include. We can mix the resources. We'll try our to be achieve the desired objective. Resource can be staff, resource can be technology, resource can be, and these can we can use it to do and achieve. That's we need a planning for it. Any question from anyone, guys? So these we can look on storage, constraint, working schedule, and access facility. What we have, theory of constraint, which is constraint mean limitation. We have to look around, which is developed by the goal rest in 1986. That's the theory is put practically result of work on how to think. Yes, we can think about constraint. I can give you some, example, practical numerical, which we can use, to identify these, that will help. So organization Goldsmith 5 resources, he identified the system constraint can be explicit. The system constraints subordinate everything else to obey the decision, evaluate constraint, and we can look around the 5 in the previous steps, constraint has been removed, which we need. And then you've been given the links, please, for the reading. Please, you can enhance your, so constraint meaning limitation. You have to use the resources toward that give you higher contribution. So we can say priority A, priority B, priority C. Let's say you are ordered to have a product to make, product A, B, C but you have a labor hour, let's say 100 labor hours available. So you have to look around demand A, let's assume giving you high contribution. So you use first, make the goods high contribution, then you go at the rank 2 and 3, which have a higher contribution and use resources accordingly. So we can rank and based on, and then we can use the resources effectively. And that's we'll go through numericals in the next lesson. Any question from anyone? Yes, yes, no, no. Okay, guys, we'll keep up to here. Thanks for attending, and we'll speak you next week. And those are listening, please drop me email if you have a question. Anjum@ukversity.co.uk. Thank you. Bye bye.